Some women bend to the world, others fight against it. But Sigma females? They move with quiet power, rewriting the rules without ever asking for permission. And that's what makes them unstoppable. If you're listening to this right now, there's a good chance you've always felt different. Maybe you've never quite fit into groups. Maybe people label you as mysterious, or maybe they just can't figure you out. And while others see that as a weakness, you know deep down, it's your greatest strength. Being a Sigma female is not about being louder or more dominant than others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about carrying a mindset so strong that no matter the chaos, no matter the rejection, no matter the storm, you find a way to rise. And today, I'm walking you through 7 deep mindset shifts that make Sigma females unstoppable in any situation. These aren't cliches. These are lived truths, things that separate the women who crumble under pressure from the ones who turn pressure into diamonds. Let's begin. Shift 1. Solitude as fuel for power. The first shift is learning how to turn solitude into fuel. For most people, silence feels uncomfortable. They fill the space with endless chatter, meaningless entertainment, or company that drains them, just to avoid being alone. But Sigma females, they don't just accept solitude, they crave it. Because solitude isn't emptiness to them, it's clarity. It's where they find direction and regain strength. Picture a Sigma woman sitting in her apartment after a long day. Instead of texting 10 friends or distracting herself with noise, she sits in the quiet. Maybe she journals, maybe she plans, maybe she simply breathes. To the outside world, it might look lonely, but to her, it's restoration. This ability makes her unshakable. She doesn't need anyone else to validate her worth. She doesn't stay in unhealthy friendships or toxic relationships just to avoid being alone. Instead, she thrives in her own company. It's this exact mindset that allows her to walk away from things that don't serve her. Because she knows her peace doesn't depend on people, it depends on her. Shift 2, choosing growth instead of comfort. The second mindset shift Sigma females embody is prioritizing growth over comfort. And this one is tough because comfort is seductive. It feels safe, familiar, and easy. But the truth is, comfort zones are silent killers. Sigma females recognize this. They understand that everything extraordinary lives outside of comfort. They know the moments that scare them the most are often the moments that transform them the most. Imagine she's offered an opportunity that stretches her beyond what she's ever done before. Maybe it's leading a project, moving to a new city, or starting a business. Fear creeps in. Doubt whispers. Most people would back down and wait until they feel ready. But here's the secret Sigma females know. Ready never comes. Growth comes from stepping into the unknown. So she says yes, even when she's terrified. And by doing so, she grows into the woman the opportunity required her to be. She doesn't view struggle as punishment. She views it as training. Every failure is a lesson, every obstacle a teacher, every discomfort a step forward. That's why Sigma females evolve so quickly. While others stay stuck in what's safe, she's out there expanding, evolving, and leveling up. Shift 3, mastering emotional self-control. Let's be real. Life throws curveballs. People betray you. Plans fall apart. Opportunities vanish. Most people react immediately. They snap in anger, collapse in fear, or drown in despair. But Sigma females know something crucial. Reaction is weakness. Control is power. That doesn't mean they don't feel emotions. They feel them deeply. But instead of letting emotions drag them around like a storm, they use them as signals. They step back, breathe, and choose their response with intention. Picture her in the middle of an argument. Everyone else is raising their voices, throwing accusations, losing composure. She stays quiet, listening carefully. And when she speaks, she's calm, measured, and precise. The room pays attention, not because she's loud, but because she's unshakable. This is emotional mastery. She knows anger can be channeled into courage. Fear can be reframed as guidance toward growth. Sadness can fuel empathy and deeper connections. But none of those emotions control her. This ability makes her dangerous, in the best way, because chaos can't pull her under. She doesn't break under pressure. She becomes sharper. Shift 4. Independence without guilt. One of the clearest traits of a Sigma female is her independence. She doesn't just enjoy it, she refuses to apologize for it. Society often pressures women to conform, to seek approval, to depend on others for direction or value. But Sigma females were never built for dependency. Their independence isn't arrogance, it's freedom. Imagine her making a bold decision, moving to another country, starting a passion project, or changing careers. Family and friends might say, "Why don't you wait until you have support? Why not do it the safer way?" But she trusts herself enough to move forward anyway. And this independence doesn't mean she avoids relationships. It means she enters them from a place of wholeness. She doesn't cling to someone because she fears being alone. She doesn't beg for love to feel complete. She says, "I choose to be with you because I want to, not because I have to." This kind of independence shifts the dynamic entirely. It gives her strength to walk away when things aren't healthy, to build without needing approval, and to create a life that belongs fully to her. Shift 5. Seeing rejection as redirection. Rejection is painful. There's no way around it. When a relationship ends, when an opportunity slips away, when someone tells you no, it cuts deep. Most people let rejection define them. They shrink, doubt themselves, and sometimes even quit. But Sigma females see rejection differently. They know it's not the end, it's guidance. Rejection isn't punishment, it's redirection. Picture this. She pours her heart into a job application, nails the interview, and still doesn't get the offer. Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, she thinks, "That door wasn't meant for me. Another one will open." And sure enough, a few weeks later, she stumbles into a role that's an even better fit, something she wouldn't have found if she had gotten the first job. This is how Sigma females win. They don't waste time crying over closed doors. They trust the redirection, adapt, and keep moving. Because they know rejection isn't the universe saying no. It's the universe saying, "Not here, try there." Shift 6. Protecting energy over seeking approval. Here's a truth that Sigma females understand better than most. Energy is currency, and how you spend it determines everything. Most people spend their energy chasing approval. They shapeshift to fit in, bend their values to please others, and exhaust themselves trying to be liked. But Sigma females don't play that game. They know approval is fleeting. It changes with people's moods, opinions, and insecurities. So instead of chasing it, they protect their energy. Imagine she chooses to follow her dream instead of her family's expectations. People gossip, criticize, even call her selfish. Does she argue endlessly to change their minds? She redirects her energy. She pours it into her dream, into her growth, into her peace. And in time, her results speak louder than any approval ever could. This mindset shift is why Sigma females often seem so untouchable. They aren't distracted by the noise. They guard their energy, channel it into what matters, and let everything else fade into the background. Shift 7. Unshakable resilience through purpose. Finally, the most powerful shift of them all. Resilience through purpose. Motivation fades. Inspiration is temporary. But purpose? Purpose is the fire that never burns out. Sigma females don't just drift aimlessly through life. They have a mission, even if it's a quiet one. Maybe it's to create something meaningful, to inspire others, to protect their peace, or to break generational patterns. Whatever it is, that purpose becomes their anchor. And when life knocks them down, and it will, they rise. Not because it's easy, but because their why is bigger than the setback. A breakup won't destroy them. A job loss won't stop them. A betrayal won't define them, because they are rooted in something deeper. Picture a Sigma woman building her dream business. She faces failures, financial struggles, doubt from others. But every time she falls, she remembers her why. That's what pulls her back up. That's what makes her unstoppable. This is the ultimate mindset shift. Sigma females aren't resilient because they never fall. They're resilient because every fall strengthens their resolve. Sigma females don't just carry these mindset shifts inside them as theories. They live them out in the real world. And to truly understand the power behind these shifts, you need to see how they play out in everyday life. Let's walk through stories, moments, and examples that reveal exactly how these mental frameworks allow Sigma women to move through any situation without losing their strength, their dignity, or their sense of self. Imagine a woman in her late 20s. Her friends invite her out every weekend. They fill their schedules with endless social events, parties, and group activities. And while she joins them occasionally, most weekends she chooses solitude. Not because she's antisocial, not because she doesn't enjoy people, but because she knows her solitude is where her greatest growth happens. Instead of draining herself in empty conversations, she uses that time to learn new skills, read, reflect, and build. Slowly, her peers start to notice she's advancing in ways they're not. She's more grounded. She's more clear-minded. She's building a life they can't quite figure out. That's the difference. Solitude sharpens Sigma females like a blade. Where others see loneliness, she sees leverage. Let's take another scenario. A Sigma female working in a stable, predictable job. She has the option to stay safe, comfortable, and stagnant, or to take a risk on a new path that excites her but terrifies her. Most people would hesitate. They'd say, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if people judge me? She thinks differently. To her, the real risk isn't failing. The real risk is staying stuck. The thought of waking up 5 years later in the same position, unchallenged and uninspired, terrifies her more than failure ever could. So she jumps. Maybe she starts a business, pursues a creative passion, or relocates to a new city. Yes, she stumbles. Yes, she questions herself. But over time, she grows in ways that her comfort zone never could have offered. Sigma females know growth may be uncomfortable, but comfort is the true danger. Now picture a heated workplace meeting. Everyone's stressed. Voices rise. A colleague snaps at her, throwing blame her way. The average response? Defensiveness, anger, escalation. Her response? Stillness. She pauses. She takes a breath. And then with calm precision, she addresses the issue, not the insult. She separates emotion from fact, and she speaks so clearly that the entire room resets. This is the power of emotional self-control. It commands respect without demanding it. It shifts dynamics instantly. It turns her into the person everyone looks to when things get messy because they know she won't lose her head. That's why Sigma females often rise into leadership without trying to. People trust them because they don't just react, they lead with clarity. Consider a woman deciding to travel solo across the world. Her family worries. Friends question her. Isn't it dangerous? Don't you think you'll feel lonely? But she books her ticket anyway. Why? Because her independence isn't negotiable. She knows the world doesn't open up for the timid. It opens up for the brave. During her travels, she discovers parts of herself she never knew existed. She navigates challenges on her own, builds confidence, and proves to herself that she can stand tall in unfamiliar territory. This isn't just about travel, it's about a mindset. I don't wait for permission. I create my own path. That's independence, and Sigma females embody it unapologetically. Let's bring it closer to the heart. Imagine she's in a relationship she thought would last forever. She gave her best, invested her love, but one day, it ends. For many, this would be the end of their confidence. They'd collapse into self-blame, obsess over what went wrong, and let the rejection define their worth. But Sigma females view rejection through a different lens. Painful, yes, but final? Number instead of saying, I wasn't enough, she says, this wasn't aligned. Something else will be. She redirects her energy inward, into her healing, her passions, her purpose. Months later, not only is she stronger, but she realizes that the breakup freed her to create a life far beyond what she had settled for. That's what rejection really is for Sigma females. Freedom disguised as loss. Here's another moment. A colleague constantly gossips, drains her with negativity, and demands attention. Instead of bending to keep the peace, she creates a boundary. She limits her interaction. She keeps conversations brief and professional. And while the colleague complains about her being distant, she doesn't engage. Why? Because her peace is priceless. Sigma females understand something most people don't. You can't control who drains you, but you can control access. Protecting energy isn't selfish, it's survival. And the more energy she saves, the more she can invest in things that truly matter. This is why her life looks intentional, focused, elevated, because she spends her energy like gold, not like loose change. Imagine she's building a nonprofit to help young girls gain access to education. Funding falls through. People doubt her. She faces setbacks that would crush most people. But she doesn't stop. Why? Because her mission is bigger than her obstacles. This is resilience, not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose. Sigma females rise again and again because they don't anchor themselves in temporary wins. They anchor themselves in meaning. When others ask, "How do you keep going when it's so hard?" she smiles. Because they don't understand. She isn't just chasing success, she's fulfilling her calling. And that makes her unstoppable. The world we live in is noisy. It pressures you to conform, rewards those who follow trends, and criticizes anyone who stands apart. But Sigma females aren't interested in blending in. Their power lies in standing alone, in thinking differently, in carrying themselves with self-assurance no one else can give them. And these 7 shifts aren't just traits. They're shields, weapons, and compasses that allow them to navigate storms without losing their way. Where others drown in comparison, Sigma females rise in clarity. Where others break under rejection, Sigma females turn it into redirection. Where others chase approval, Sigma females protect their energy. Where others rely on external strength, Sigma females find it within. That's why they remain unstoppable, because their strength doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from within. But here's something even deeper. Sigma females don't just change their own lives, they change the world around them. When a woman carries herself with independence, she inspires others to trust their own strength. When she chooses growth over comfort, she shows others it's possible to do the same. When she protects her energy, she models boundaries that others desperately need to learn. Sigma females are quiet leaders. They don't demand attention, but their presence shifts entire environments. They give others permission to be bold simply by being themselves. So let me leave you with this. Being unstoppable isn't about never failing, never hurting, or never doubting. It's about carrying a mindset so resilient, so intentional, so rooted in purpose, that nothing can permanently hold you down. And Sigma females? They embody that truth every single day. They remind us all, you don't have to be the loudest in the room. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to ask for permission to live life on your own terms. You just have to shift your mindset, trust your strength, and keep moving forward, no matter what. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't shape Sigma females. Sigma females shape the world.